Hi, welcome to SBRtv. I'm Peter Loshak, and this is our NFL Experts Roundtable, where we are going to preview Super Bowl 46. And we are joined once again by returning guests who've been with us all year, giving us great advice. Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com and Dave Golokhov, senior sports columnist from AskMen.com. Thanks, guys, for being here one final time in this football season.
Thanks for having us.
All right, and I just want to give you guys kudos because you've been great guests, giving us great advice. Scott Kellen, of course, is a well-known and well-respected opinion by the offshore sports books, a very well-known entity. Dave Golokhov, look, a lot of people like to make fun of him, and sure, you can make fun of his face, you can make fun of his accent, you can make fun of his background, you can make fun of the fact that he still lives with his mom and probably 20 other things. But you cannot make fun of the picks and leans and advice he's given on this show because overall they've been very profitable. Dave, thanks so much for doing all this with us.
Well, I don't know how many of those things are true that people are making fun of, but you know what? I'll let the people say what they say. I just let the picks stand for themselves.
The thing that people most want to know is, do you live with your parents still?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I live in a condo downtown.
And then the second thing that people want to know is to your right, is that a bong or is that some kind of lamp or what is that? Is that a bong?
This thing up here?
Yeah.
That's a vase. That's actually a vase my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend now, but she brought over flowers one time in that vase. Now that vase stands empty as I typically don't treat plants too well. The life of a bachelor, Peter. I'm sure you know about it.
All right. Yes, I do. So is that a vase that doubles as a bong or just a vase? It's not.
Well, for it to be a bong, there would have to be a place to pack a pipe. As
I don't
I'm
know.
sure if you want to get technical, this is just a vase. So just,
It's been widely speculated that people have been very suspicious of whatever that is in the background. But all right, let's get to it. You guys have given great advice all year long, and here we come to the Super Bowl. I figure let's talk about the spread and the total first, and then we will talk about props and see what you guys have to say about that. First, I want to get what Scott Kellen has to say about this idea in general, because you talk about like if you look at like the limits on a market, that pretty much tells you how sharp the lines are. And so a market with tiny limits is sort of admission by the bookmakers that the lines aren't that sharp. And of course, NFL football in general has the highest limits of any American sport, and the Super Bowl in particular has enormous limits, which you would then conclude maybe indicates that the spreads and totals on the Super Bowl are extremely sharp. What's your take in general on the sharpness of Super Bowl spreads and totals, Scott Kellen?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to think back the last couple Super Bowls. I mean, just looking the last couple of years, I think there's been value on, a team and would obviously indicate that, maybe the lines aren't quite that sharp. And, this year, you've got a lot of money moving one way, and it seems to be all sharp and square money.
Right.
And it's obviously driving that line. But, there's a lot of influence that goes into these lines. And, like people are asking, well, why did they set the line the way they did this year? And they set it because they thought there was a perception that they'd get New England money. And so, is the line where they really think it should be from a value standpoint? Probably not. It's probably where they think they're going to get action. And obviously they completely missed this year in terms of where that action was going to come. And I think the last couple of years, you think back, it's similar results. So I don't know that it's necessarily a super sharp line. I'm just kind of thinking quickly off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that people always talk about, though, is that the Super Bowl is the best example and maybe the only example of a situation where public money can and often does overwhelm sharp money.
I think you're right. I think public money might drive, this game more than any kind of sharp money ever could.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the opening line for a second. Now, Dave Golokhov, this line opened at Giants plus 3.5. Now, I didn't really have a preconceived notion of where this line should be, but when you see a line of 3.5, you're just going to assume that the sharps are going to hit that down to 3, in that direction. What was your take on the opening line of 3.5? Were you surprised by that?
Well, yeah, I personally was surprised, but it's very similar to, I guess you could say any New England game. I was going to reference the AFC Championship game against Baltimore, where you really have two evenly matched teams, but because it's the New England Patriots, because it's we can call it the Burberry shirt effect, that they're, a huge favorite at home. And that's where I was surprised here, too. The Patriots, the Giants, in my opinion, two fairly equal teams. No home field advantage in this game. And I think, I honestly think a pick would have been fair. So to see the Giants at 3.5 definitely opened my eyes a little bit. They played a tougher schedule this year, and I thought that maybe after all the handicapping of that Ravens Patriots game, people realized that the Patriots had such an easy schedule. Apparently, that's not the case. So yeah, I was surprised that it was Patriots minus 3.5.
Well, yeah,
I
sure.
personally think it should be a pick.
You talk about the Burberry effect, and that, of course, is a very real effect and can be, an effect that can be handicapped for great value, especially in a huge market like the NFL. But why do you think that was applicable here? Because first of all, everyone remembers the Giants' huge Super Bowl upset a bunch of years ago. The Giants already beat them this year, and the Giants looked great in the playoffs. So everyone was paying attention. Was if there was a bandwagon to jump on, it was squarely on the Giants. And the Patriots, as you mentioned, did look particularly bad in their game against Baltimore. So I would think if there's any kind of a bandwagon effect that would attract public money and public attention, it would be the Giants.
Well, yeah, yes, you can make that case for sure, but my personal opinion has always been that the bounce back theory is a huge public reasoning. Revenge games, oh, they lost last time, they're going to play better this time, making that assumption. It's like the roulette theory. Oh, it's hit red 3 times, black is coming. As the sharps realize, that's not always the case. But to me, whenever I'm at the sports bar on Sundays watching football, I hear all these handicapping from public players, and that to me is a consistent argument, that revenge theory, that bounce back theory. So I'd say that's the case. Secondly, the Patriots just still have the bigger stars. I mean, they've got Wes Welker, they've got Tom Brady, they've got more known brand names. They're flashy, they're high scoring. The Giants are kind of the MacGyver, gumshoe, duct tape, and shoestring type of team. And, they did have the impressive win over Green Bay, but I think, a lot of people still have that sneaking suspicion that Green Bay was a little rusty, Hail Mary at the end of first half. So in my opinion, though, that's why you're still paying for that brand name with the Patriots, the revenge theory, and also the bigger brand name players play for their team.